All right, in this video, I'm going to take you guys and give you an over-the-shoulder view as I select land investing markets for my very own land business. Now, these very markets I select in this video are the same markets that we will end up sending direct mail pieces to. So everything I'm generating in this video ultimately is for the sole use of direct mail. Now, inside of Leo, we teach a 4-part process for how to fracture markets to create homogeneous offers. You see, it's not enough to find a hot market. We need to find a hot market and then figure out how to break it down so we can then create super accurate offers to give to the owners. And frankly, I would take a slightly more accurate offer in a less hot market than the inverse. Now, I won't bore you with all 4 of those strategies, but what we're going to be focusing on today in this video is our subdivision strategy. Man, the second I clicked record, now I'm getting blasted. Feels like a nuclear warhead just went off with the sun coming in. It is insane. I'll try my best, but I may be squinting this entire video. All right, so first off, today we're going to be looking in Colorado. If you guys are unfamiliar with this tool, I'm using Land Insights here. We're going to be looking in Colorado. Why Colorado? Well, I've had a lot of good success finding really juicy subdivisions in Colorado. It's a state I'm familiar with. Also, I was just out in Colorado about a week and a half ago. And to be totally honest, I've got a bit of a hankering to own some land myself in Colorado. So I'm happy to send some direct mail, pick up some deals. And if I find something that I like, well, I might be inclined to keep it. So here in this drop-down menu, we're looking at 0.15 to 1 acre. Just to start on this heat map, it's showing the 1-year STR. Now, Rio Blanco, kind of interesting. There's not a lot of supply, so there's not going to be a lot of comp data. But Garfield County, it looks like it's got some juice going on here for this smaller acreage ranges. Now, we very well may find subdivisions that are in excess of this size, but it's just a good place to start. More than likely subdivisions, most of these properties are going to be 5 acres and beneath. There are some very rural recreational subdivisions in Colorado and other states, frankly, where they have 40-acre, 100-acre tracts. But for the most part, we're dealing with smaller stuff. So let's just go over here to Garfield County and just take a peek, okay? I've never actually looked at Garfield County ever, so this is going to be a first for us. So here's the county. Now over here, you're going to see the subdivision tab. I can click on this. And we're going to get a full drop-down list of all the different subdivisions. Now, there's a lot here, right? And it's going to be hard to know what is worth bothering with. So I could go line by line, or what I can do is I can come over here to this data layer. I can turn on the MLS comps. I'll just peel it back 1 year, and I can start to look for these clusters, these real big pockets where you're having a lot of sales happening. So if we start to zoom in over here, and again, all these green comps, these are all sold comps. You can see over here, there's a lot going on. Now, this is a super small little subdivision. These are not my favorite kinds of properties, and these are super duper expensive. This looks like it's Cattle Creek. It's probably near Aspen. So this is not really tickling my fancy. So as I'm going through this, there's a lot of ultra expensive stuff, which doesn't really get me too excited, to be honest. I don't really like marketing to $600,000 infill properties. It's not my dojo. So it looks like this is going to be really a lot of that. $245,000. So this is an interesting, kind of like a rural rec looking subdivision. Everything's a bit bigger. And this is Wooden Deer Subdivision. What a terrible name. So let's go look at this over here. Wooden Deer Subdivision. So it's a very small subdivision. And there's only a handful of truly vacant lots. If we go like this, we just say, hey, max improvement percent 10. So just a handful of these lots that haven't been developed. Now, if we go down here to owner, right? And let's just see how recently were these bought. So if I put 5 years in, there's really only one. So this must be a pretty new subdivision. If I go like this and I go out of state, so everyone's in state and everyone's bought recently. Yeah, that doesn't get me too excited. So here's Crested Butte. I was just in this town. I absolutely love this place. Crested Butte is amazing. What's this? Prospect at Mountain. Crested Butte. Let's check this out. Doesn't look like a great subdivision, to be honest, but I just love this area. Bang. 69 properties. Okay, interesting. Go to owner. Yeah, okay. I like this. This is interesting. This is very interesting. I'm going to export this data. We'll go back real quick, actually. Hold on. So, looking at the data here, some of them have some structures: gun site, cabin, LLC, some stuff that we'll probably want to remove, reserve metropolitan. So, honestly, Northern Flicker LLC. If I exclude corporate owned, I'm left with 4 properties. Okay, but remove that. 16. Why not? We'll give it a go. We'll export this. Not the craziest looking market ever, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this area. All right, we'll keep that. Cool. Let's keep on perusing. I don't know if there's going to be much for me out this way. Most of Crested Butte is pretty darn developed. This is a cool little town called Gothic out here. I actually rode my bike I forget what it was, like 40 miles, something like that. Maybe it was 30 miles. Long bike ride. Went all the way around up this mountain, then down the backside of this. Really, really cool. What's this back here? Ooh, check this out. Trappers crossing at Wildcat Subdivision. Let's check this out. All right. So 48 properties back here. Max improvement percent, 10%, brings us to 25. Let's see, who's owned more than 5 years? 14. Okay. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we'll export this. Again, it's not booming. I mean, there's definitely stuff sitting, but to some extent, this is more kind of a personal campaign, I suppose. Let's go look at this real quick. Looks like it was an off-market sale. Okay. Okay. Boom. Second one down. Now you can tell we're not pulling a lot of data in this process, and that's actually to be expected. With this subdivision strategy, oftentimes we're just peeling off a couple properties at a time. Sometimes it's a couple hundred, sometimes it's a couple dozen, sometimes it's less than a dozen. And I'm totally okay with that, because what I get with this is I get very, very accurate pricing. And so where most people are coming in and getting this completely wrong, I get to come in and be hyper accurate, which I really like. So the small data does not concern me. Let's go back here and let's play around with some different counties and see what we can find here. Good old Park County. Let's go up here and look at Gilpin County. Let's see what's going on back here. Bunch of subdivisions. What's this? Aspen Springs. Let's check that out. Bada bing, bada boom. The sun is killing me. I'm getting like a sunburn going on over here. Aspen Springs. So it looks like there's a bunch of different sections of this. So we'll just grab all of these. Let's check it out. Bang. Okay, here we are. So not a ton active, 2 pending. We've got, let's see, 4 that have sold. Okay. Let's play around with this data. 10% on the improvement. So 33 properties is what we're left with. If we go ownership length, 5 years. Left with 30 properties. Boom, boom, boom. City of Blackhawk. All right, interesting. Okay, there's some crummy properties with some wetlands, so we're going to come down to the scrubbing. We're going to make sure that we are removing stuff that's got a good amount of wetlands or flood zone on it. So I'm going to put in 30-30. And I'm going to remove as well. Looks like there's a good amount of corporate owners that I just don't think would sell to us. Let's see. Well, we lose a couple of the trusts. So maybe I will keep that in there and we'll just manually remove stuff that has like city in it, things like that. So exclude keywords. I'm just going to put in city, county. Just so I'm not picking up any of the funky stuff like City of Blackhawk. I don't want that in my data set. Okay, cool. I'm not going to use any of the other scrub filters here. That should get me in a good spot. So we've got a whopping 20 properties. Yippee! Let's go back here. What's the name of the subdivision? Aspen Springs. All right. Aspen Springs. Now, again, we're not pulling a ton of data at once, but these are going to be a jiffy to price. It's easy as pie. And we've had campaigns where there's only, 10 records, 20, 30, 40 records, and we land multiple deals. So it's not like oh my God, there's only 40 properties. I need to get 50 of these to get to my 2,000, which is going to get me a deal. No, when you're coming in with this level of accuracy, you can get away with much less data, much less. So not to fret. It's a game of accuracy with this subdivision approach. Let's keep on toying around here. What is going on with this? These are some weird looking properties. That does not get me interested. Here's the town of Gilpin back here. Yeah, it doesn't really tickle my fancy. A lot of it's developed as well. What's this? Subdivision Lillis Lane. Very little that's actually vacant here. Sylvan Heights. I don't know. That's quite odd. Okay. Yeah, that's not doing it for me. Boom, 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 boom. Now we're just really messing around. Now we're just going to see where the map takes us, huh? Deer Valley Park. Let's go like this. And let's say only sold. Let's clean up the view. And we're just going to look at, are there any areas that are just dense, super dense with sold? What's this guy? What is this? So this is Park County, Jefferson Heights. So if I look at Jefferson Heights and we go back here, Okay, it's turning over decently. Definitely more sold than anything else. So let's play with this. Jefferson Heights. Jefferson Heights. So here we are. And what's this back here? I'll have to take a look at that after. All right. Jefferson Heights. Boom, boom, boom. Interesting. Put in our typical filters. 33, huh? Okay. If I look at these, most of these are going to be individual owners. I don't see any oddities with these lots. They're all pretty vanilla. Okay, I wonder what's going on with this subdivision in the back. We'll just take a look at that after. Well, we'll take this for a ride. Jefferson Heights. All right. Well, hopefully you guys kind of get a sense of what this process looks like. Now, oftentimes these subdivisions are not always in the hottest markets, right? So to try to overlay the hottest market and try to find a hot subdivision, rarely does that play out. Subdivisions are located in typical regions throughout the US. Not every county is going to be subdivision rich. Not every state is subdivision rich, you know? So we do have to kind of take this needle in a haystack approach. We're really going to be measuring demand on a much more micro, minute level, because sometimes you get to stack both, but oftentimes this approach is not the case. Demand is so local to these subdivisions. Typically, a great subdivision will have its own reputation. People, like, it's sought after. People want to own land in Jefferson Heights. Like, it's a known thing in the local area. And so it's a bit of a different ball game in terms of your market selection, and it can be like finding a needle in a haystack. I think where people make mistakes, though, is they assume that every county has oodles of subdivisions. That's certainly not true. And sometimes the hottest counties don't have the hottest subdivisions. So it's a bit of a weird game in that sense. More times than not, the places that we pull subdivisions, the county itself is so-so. So we start our market selection process by looking for counties that are turning over a lot of those smaller type rural infill properties in more rural counties. And then we just start looking for demand. Now we'll either use that with the subdivision search within Land Insights, or we'll just use the MLS comp overlay and begin probing that way. Now, if you guys want to take Land Insights for a test drive yourself and get 1,000 free leads in the process, you can head over to landinsights.co/apply. See you guys in the next video.